Attention all freaks. We are now boarding for the flight to Planet E. 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 Planet E.
All right, what's going on, everybody? We're finally here for this awesome podcast with DJ Storm. We got the one and only DJ Storm with us.
Woo-hoo!
So welcome, dude. Thank you very much for doing this, man. I definitely appreciate it. I know there's a lot of people out there who are going to appreciate it well.
Awesome.
So I just want to do a sound check real quick. Everybody who's listening, if you guys could just give me like a thumbs up that the sound's good, all that stuff.
Microphone check. Microphone check.
All right, let us know, everybody. Let us know if that's good. Okay. All right. Cool. We definitely got some.
Nice.
Okay. So yeah, just so everybody knows, man, doing this is not easy. There's always something that goes wrong, and it's just there's a lot of moving parts to making this happen. Sometimes things happen. We don't know until somebody tells me. So yeah, if at any point through the chat, if it breaks up or anything like that, let me know. Right now, it looks like I got good audio.
Cool.
All right. So anyway, do you have records in storage, or what are you keeping them all at your house?
I have a few rooms. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Obviously this is our studio, so I have records to my right, which you can't see. I have records behind me. I also have records on crates on the floor, and then I have in my room I have shelves and shelves and shelves of records. I have a pretty big room. So, and then there's records in my closet. There's record in these big plastic totes. So yeah, they're all basically here.
They're everywhere. So are you on Discogs selling records too, or are you just buying?
No, I've done my share of selling records. I've, obviously, running retail stores and all that stuff. I just basically right now I just enjoy and I collect, and I'm not getting rid of. I mean, there was a few records in the past where I have sold, and I have to tell you, it was probably the most gut wrenching feeling I've ever experienced. It was like a piece of my soul was just leaving.
Like sold part of your collection, like a large chunk?
No, just sold a record, or
okay.
one record, or two records, or it's just like I gave it away, and I just felt like I gave a piece of myself away, and I don't know, I felt really bad. I mean, there are times where I've given records away as gifts for people, and that felt good because that was gratifying.
Right.
When you're basically selling records to make money that out of your personal collection, I felt like a dirty whore.
Right. All right, like you're putting one of your whores out on the street and she's not going to come back, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? It was like you're at a truck stop, fucking blowing somebody through a glory hole.
One of your fucking lot lizards is running around out there. She ain't gonna come back to daddy.
And they just shoot a load in your mouth and you never see them again.
Damn. All right. Well, I have a small record collection. I haven't sold any yet, so I hope I don't feel that way though, because that would hurt my feelings, dude.
Well, don't start smoking crack.
Yeah, and to start selling records to fund your crack habit.
To support your crack
yeah,
habit.
All right, that's some good advice.
I mean, if you sell your records, if you're smoking crack, then what else are you gonna sell?
Yeah.
To buy your crack or sustain your crack life.
Start selling fake records on dogs.
Yeah.
you're trying to sell an old ass fucking Breaks record, but it turns out to be it's fucking Elton John or something.
Yeah. People order something and it's an empty sleeve.
Yeah, that's fucked up. So all right, so let's talk about the record store days then, man, because that's something that somebody had told me about that you do, but I don't really know much about it. So let's talk about that.
Okay. So I've been buying records and I've been collecting records, and a long time ago, on 1481 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach, the DJ store opened. and I'm going to say this was maybe 94, 95. And the head buyer there was Hardware, Todd Greenhouse. And, he was ordering records, and I was, at that time, I was going to shops anywhere from Orlando to Miami to West Palm to Pompano, different locations trying to find records. And I always had a good ear. I always followed artists. I kind of always used to ask DJs if they played something I never heard of. I'm like, hey, what's that record? Who's the artist? What song is that? And it started really developing my knowledge for labels and artists. And every time I go into the record store, I would continually like tell this guy that was ordering records, hey, you might want to order this record. It's really hot, and I think a lot of people are going to like it. I know I'm going to play it, and I think sound. And back then, the majority of the stuff that you were able to find in South Florida record store, all house, techno, trance.
Okay.
So I liked, obviously I started playing in 87, so I started with house and acid house and, hip house and the different elements of house. And, but I have a past prior to that because I used to play freestyle and bass and all that stuff. So I started hearing this sound, that was kind of incorporating all these different styles of music. It was taking like some of the electronic, trancey, acid, and then it was putting like the bass or the breaks of like the freestyle. I'm like, whoa, this is fucking awesome. So I go to the guy and I'm like, hey, can you order these records? He's like, I don't know. And he would order the records and they would literally fly off the shelf.
Right.
So like people were like eating this up. And then the owner of the store, Michael Yelvington, he's like, you obviously seem to know more about this music than the guy that I have hired in payroll right now. Like, do you want to become my record buyer?
Nice.
And I'm like, yeah. So I pretty much went balls deep into record buying. Never really had any experience at all in like retail. So I was working with one of my mentor and a very close and longtime friend, Oscar Zayas. So, but Oscar was he was focused more on studio and production and like different elements of the thing. So I basically got thrown into the water with the sharks, and they're like, okay, so you're the buyer. So at that point, I had to start really doing my research. And back then, we were very limited on the internet exposure of labels. So I had to like get stuff through fax.
Right.
and
That's what I
read
was. That's what I wanted to
descriptions.
ask. Like how? So when you, like you said, you were limited on how you could get the information. So were they sending you like demo records, or what? You had to like find these and request them, or how were you getting this?
Well, what was happening is like, okay, we get a fax like every Friday night or Saturday, and it was like all the releases that were available for that upcoming week. So, and these faxes had the artist, a title, and a brief description. So, mind you, whatever the distribution companies were writing as a description, that's all you really had to go on.
Okay.
Like
They're like it goes bam 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 boom pap wah 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 wah. And then there's a vocal in there somewhere. Is that kind of shit?
Close. It was like lushy progressive sounds with the thumping break, and they're like, so you kind of like had to read this, and I'm like, all right. So I got to the point where I kind of started reading lines, and I was picking up records, and I was obviously conservatively buying at first. I didn't really know the record. I might order like 1 or 2 copies. If I got it, I heard it. I'm like, okay. The next week, I'm like, I need 30 copies of. I need 20 copies of this.
Okay.
So I got to the point where actually became one of the largest retail stores in the country.
Wow.
So I got to the point where I became so familiar with artists. I was also researching different sounds based out of Detroit. Like I was the first record store in Florida to bring the Direct Beat label to carry DJ Assault Records.
Oh,
I
shit.
started importing a lot of the electro stuff from UK and Germany. So I was really not only just selling and promoting, West Coast, California, and Florida breaks, but I was also importing a lot of stuff from overseas. and basically bridging the gap between us and Europe. And I became friends with all the labels, with all the artists, and pretty soon they just started sending me promos.
Okay.
So they would give me a record. I get it like maybe 3 or 4 months in advance. I listened to it. They would tell me the release date of it. And then I would order the copies when they were available, when they were pressed. I got to the point where I actually started telling the distribution companies that were importing these records, hey, this record's going to be coming out in March. I've been playing it. The crowd is going absolutely crazy. So that was my feedback. And I'm like, this record's going to do really well. So you might want to order like a couple of hundred copies for the country, or 3,000-4,000 copies for the country. They're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. So I was getting information before now the distributors were getting information. So these records were coming in, and obviously I had my 40 or 30 copies reserved. But then all of a sudden, all these record stores all over the country started buying the stuff that I was bringing into the country and telling these distributors what to bring into the country. And so then they decided to basically every week they would just send me boxes of promos. And they're like, you know what? Since you seem to have a really good ear on this, why don't you tell us how many copies of these we should bring in?
Wow.
So
Okay.
literally I would get boxes of like 30 or 40 releases, and I started writing the description on the facts. I used to put 300, 400, 500. And at that point, not only was I working for the record store, but I was independently working with a distribution company, ordering stuff from the Europe and making it very accessible for everybody in the United States to buy stuff that they never would have even had access or even known about.
Right. Was the DJ store a chain, or was that just an independent?
It was 2 locations.
Okay.
The first one was in Fort Lauderdale, owned by Tracy and John. Great people, loved them. And then they decided to branch off and open one up in West Palm Beach. So not only were we selling records, but we were selling CDs and equipment and turntables and speakers and amps and mixers and lights and all that stuff as well.
Yeah, I never made it to that DJ store. So how long was that store around?
It was around for a few years, and I know there was some conflict between Michael and Tracy and John. So Mike decided to go ahead and part ways. And then he opened up On Beat Records, and he basically said, I'm going to open up On Beat. I want you to come work for me. And being that he was the one that kind of hired me into the store, I kind of have a little bit of a loyalty to him. Right. Although he was partnered with John and Tracy at the time, but I was closer to him, so I ended up following him. And then we opened up On Beat Records, and then On Beat, obviously we were a record store with a really cool listening station. We used to have a fish tank in the middle. It was awesome.
What year was this? What year did DJ Store open?
The original one was around in Fort Lauderdale. I think it was around since the 80s.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, the one in West Palm, I think, opened up in 94, 95, what I remember.
So were you saying that you stayed there because you had loyalty to that person, or you did? On Beat Records was its own store. That was a separate store.
Yeah, and
separate
then Michael just basically had a fallout with John and Tracy, so he decided to open up On Beat Records, and then I just followed Michael, and then I became the senior buyer at On Beat Records, and we followed the same path of importing and bringing in. And it got to the point where I was actually just importing directly from Europe, and I was getting a lot of exclusive releases. Right. And I was bypassing the distributors because I had more buying and selling power than the distributors did at that time.
Do you have any like claim to fame imports, or ones that you picked up kind of before anybody that like sold like crazy? Maybe you're like the first one.
Where do I begin?
So many. Okay.
Sonique.
Dude, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I was just because we talked about that on the Dave London one, and Dave London's like, that's one of my biggest regrets because I didn't license it, and he had the chance to license it.
Right. Not only did I import that record, but I got all the parts. I have an unreleased Brothers of Funk remix that we did of it,
What?
and I actually was part of the whole licensing deal to Caffeine Records. We actually licensed it for the U.S. to Caffeine.
That's what he said. He said Caffeine ended up picking it up. He said that he was in Europe when he heard it. And he was like, "Oh, this would be a good thing," and he never got on it. That's so funny, dude. It's so funny when you can connect things like that. That's awesome. That's a good story, dude.
I got it as a promo. It was on Sirius Records out of Italy, and I imported. Now I'm going to tell you a funny story about this. Not only did I import the record, but at that time, because of my buying power, my relationship with the labels, and my independent work with the distributors, I actually started working closely with WPOW, which was Power 96. And at that time, they were the #1 Arbitron rated radio station in the country, meaning they had the highest ratings. Okay. So whatever was played on Power 96 was mirrored in California, was mirrored in New York, was mirrored in Texas. Like whatever we considered hot, the rest of the country considered hot. Okay. So what ended up happening is at that time, Eddie Mix was the program director. And so I met Eddie through this guy, Nick Salierno. And I actually started personally, I guess, being his like program director and assistant. And he would call me up and he'd be like, "Yo, Storm, Kimmy, like, what record is this?" So we used to have these meetings down at WPOW on Power 96. I used to drive down there and it was like a boardroom and we would listen to records and we all had to agree if the record was good enough for us to even play on a mix show or play a rotation. Cool. And I brought Sonique It Feels So Good. And
they shit their pants?
Till this day, it is the most played and most requested record on Power 96.
Yeah, dude. Yes, that is awesome. So I have another story about that Sonique thing too. So I had Slam and Sean on here one time,
right?
And he told me that the Sonique record, or him putting that Sonique track on a CD, is what made his CD.
Of course,
he said that track because people couldn't get it, I guess. So when they got his one of his Global Groove CDs, it was on there, and that blew his shit up. That was his first like super. That's how he got popular with.
I'll tell you what happened with that record. So we got the record. You know what I mean? We got the promo. Obviously, we sold quite a bit of the import, the Italian import on Sirius Records. But during the licensing, when we were trying to license it to Caffeine and work that whole deal up, they stopped the production and the pressing of that record because it was going to get re-released in the U.S. with U.S. remixes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so the record actually started pressing, but I don't know what ended up happening. I remember Dave Trance was with Caffeine at the time, and he was kind of brokering the whole deal. And, it just, it never really. So I know there was a couple of bootleg represses of it. It was like a green label on one side and a pink label on one side. So a lot of people got to repress and they got that stuff. And I think they'll deal with Caffeine. And I think Caffeine pretty much, I think they might have closed maybe a little bit later. So I don't know what happened with that whole deal. But then it became easily accessible through the bootleg.
Yeah, that's what I have. So I don't have even just a single. I have it on some like Wicked Breaks compilation that has like 4 or 5 different songs on it, and it's literally like the inner part of the record, and it's like this fucking big. That's it.
I think I may have a couple of those bootlegs around.
Yeah.
So if I do, I'll definitely save you a copy.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome because I do like that song. Like that, it's a good song. I actually saw somebody on Facebook posted the music video of it, or like her singing it live somewhere. Yeah, I remember.
So I mean, that was just. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good. I'll say it's just a good song. Good song.
I mean, yeah, but there was a lot of records. Electronic Love was another one from News Distribution. I basically won another record, Casey Escape. I brought it to the country.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
man, I have that. I have that one.
So it was just a lot of the imports. I mean, that's at that time I was working closely with Intergroove, who was the main distributor for that record. And once again, because of my track history and my reputation, I was working with pretty much every record label, every distributor, and pretty much every artist in the
Wow.
world.
That's good stuff, man. So was Beat Source your last job at the record store? Or did you work at any other places?
No, I worked at OnBeat.
Or OnBeat, my bad. OnBeat.
Yeah, yeah. I worked at OnBeat. I took a little bit of a break. And then there was like Brian Shack, a good friend of mine, he opened up OnBeat Studios with an OnBeat Records, and I started working with him briefly. But that pretty much lasted up until I want to say 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And then pretty much everybody at that time was going digital.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Digital was around for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I know that Stanton had their version a long time. I mean, but we never really, like, when digital came out and they tried pushing that to for us to sell it at the record store. I mean, it was around since DJ store days. So it was in development a long time. We're like, vinyl's never going away.
Right.
So we were like hardcore, like, vinyl purists. Like, we were fighting tooth and nail. We were like the vinyl crusade. We were like, vinyl's going on forever. And eventually people stopped buying records. And now it's funny because there's a whole resurgence of people buying the records, and it's I'm glad to see that. I'm glad that people are actually, getting vinyl. Yeah.
When's the last time you've been in a record store?
God, it's been a while.
So there's one here. It's called Sounds Good Music. And I went in there, and every once in a while, like, this guy will just have like a random stack of breaks in. So I stop in there occasionally just to see what's up. And I went in there. I needed one of these. Actually, it's this thing here, one of these record boxes. So I went up there and I was like, checking it out, seeing what's up. Dude, I walked in there and, like, there was probably the first time I went in there was like 3 or 4 people that were in there, and this place isn't really that big. When I went in there on a Saturday, dude, there's like 5 or 6 people in there, like, just chilling. Like, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think of a record store, that's not really that big. Like, 5 people sitting on the floor, listening to records, talking to the guy, like, just hanging out in there like it's some kind of coffee store. And people are into it, man. Like, they're definitely getting back into it. And some of them were young too, younger people.
And that was one of the most beautiful things about having the record store and having people come in there weekly, because it was not only a place where you buy, records, but you would congregate with each other. You would talk with each other. You would basically find out where the party was, or about a new track. And
or there'd be
like
flyers in there, putting flyers in there.
Yeah, it was just, we were all communicating with each other and basically going, "This is a hot sound." It was like a family, meeting every week. So you had all these different DJs, and you would meet all these producers, and you had so many entities coming to the store. And the thing that was cool about records, is, like, for me, there was a third dimensional attachment to the artist. So, like, when you bought a record and you held that record, you were connected to that artist. You were connected to that person. So you had some sort of, like, symbiotic relationship through a piece of vinyl.
Yeah, something they made. So that's why you can't let your lot lizards go and fucking be out there sucking truck drivers off, because you want to maintain that relationship.
I mean, although those are fun times.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it was awesome. And it was great because of the simple fact that it allowed people to have something that they could, own with digital information. I mean, I download a lot of digital media because a lot of the tracks out there are, only made digitally. It's just, you sort out digital data kind of like you sort out emails. So there's no real like connection between you or the artist.
Yeah.
You like hear the song, and it just you don't really feel the warmth or the emotion or the thought or the feeling that went in behind making
Right.
the record.
Right. All the substance that went into it. And you know, the other thing I noticed is that with the MP3s and stuff, like I don't remember them as good, like the track. So like you're saying that there's something tangible to it. Like for me, I mean I could be wrong, but for me, it makes it seem like that adds to like the whole experience of the track. It makes me remember it better.
Right. It's like like I saw that stack of records back then. I'm like, oh, that one
Right.
and that, you know, so you automatically associate yourself with the label, with the artist, with the way the sleeve looks and everything. It's like you have, you know, and that's another thing. It's like, I think because of the digital information and the digital data out there, it's allow people to basically rely on Google and not really use their memory that much anymore.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the searches online and a lot of the things online that are accessible online, I think it's basically giving people a free pass to be idiots.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's definitely not. It's not the same. And for anybody who doesn't know, if you guys haven't checked out Discogs, I mean, like I just got into it this year, so I'm not like an expert or anything. But Discogs is like an online record store, I guess, or it's an online record marketplace, I guess. Right? Is that that's a proper way to describe it?
That is a proper way to describe it.
So it's like it's like, you know, people who sell on eBay and Amazon and things like that. They have like a Discogs store, you could kind of say. And they're selling records on there, they're buying records on there, and like it's a huge operation. I didn't appreciate how complex it was until I got into it. You could probably find every record, at least every record that I've ever searched for is on there. I haven't found one record that's not on there.
Nice.
That I've searched for. So I mean, there could be a couple, but you have people that are contributing. Like I know Joel in the chat, he contributes. He's a contributing person. So if you have information on a record, you can upload like the record, the picture, the style, and things like that. It's actually a really cool community. And then there's the boards, the like the forum boards and things like that. And then one thing I didn't realize outside Discogs is there's a Discogs Facebook group. And so I found it, and there's like tens of thousands of people that are in this group, and it's probably the most active group I've ever been in on Facebook.
Hands down.
Dude, they're posting shit fucking every minute, dude. Somebody's on there posting shit. They're posting like their fucking turntables. They're posting their record collection. They're posting like everything, dude. All kinds of stuff. It's a really cool group that it just makes you kind of like be like, oh, there's other people out there like me, you know, that like this stuff, that are super into it. So it's a cool community. Yeah. So I definitely encourage everybody to check that out. And so like I just started collecting new records this year, and it's enjoyable. It's one thing that's cool is like, okay, hobbies, they all cost money, right? Collecting records, dude, isn't that expensive. You know, like unless you're buying like super rare ones, but like you can get some good thrills for like $30 a month. So it's a nice hobby to have that gives you some good enjoyment.
And it's definitely a lot healthier than smoking crack.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's better than smoking crack, fucking walking around the hood at night, like trying to, you know, pick up a John or something like that. Yeah. However you get your thrills.
I mean, you can bang a hooker once in a while, but that, I mean, that's, you know.
Yeah. It'd probably be more expensive than buying a $2 record.
And I think it's riskier. You know, you would contract more than just audio.
Right. You know? For sure. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. So it's hard to get to everybody that's in there, but I've seen some people. I know we got Joel in there, Joe, Jose, Jimmy spelled backwards finally made it in, DJ Image, and some other people, Al Hooker, everybody. Sorry if I'm missing you guys. What's up, Brett? It's just that there's too much stuff going on right here in front of me that I can't get to everything. So I need an assistant.
He's like manning the Star Trek Enterprise.
Seriously, dude,
all
this
by
is
himself.
the bridge. That is. And I'm not Data, you know? Like I'm fucking like old Picard up in here trying to run this bitch. So
you're like Captain Kirk in it.
Yeah. Geriatric Captain Kirk. Don't know what the fuck's
Geriatric
going
Captain Kirk.
on. Yeah.
Yo, but speaking of Captain Kirk, I mean, God bless him. He like literally fucked every colored girl out there. Purple,
For
green,
real. He did not
like,
discriminate, dude.
red.
He didn't discriminate.
He didn't discriminate. Like he was so anti-racist. Like
Yeah.
he was amazing.
He was ahead of his time.
Ahead of his time.
Yeah. So can you see the chat? Were you able to click in to see the chat?
I do, but let me
It's
check
hard to
real
watch them
quick.
both at the same time. But yeah. So yeah, if you guys have questions, we are definitely taking questions. If I skip you, I'm sorry, because that does happen sometimes because the chat's moving faster than I. But if you guys have questions and stuff, but we're just getting started, literally. Got a lot more shit.
My battery's like on 15%,
Okay.
so I'm just gonna say fuck my phone.
Okay. All right.
And then I'll let you, if anybody has any questions, just go ahead and reiterate them to me, and I'll, we can answer whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. So like I said, if I miss you in the chat, sorry. I'm doing the best I can here. So but there are any questions you got in there. So let's talk about your DJ name, dude. How did you come DJ Storm? Did you know that Dave London was a DJ Storm at one time?
I found that out through your through the broadcast.
I thought that was interesting. So how did you
That was
become the
cool.
original?
Well, I God, when I was a young kid, I was in school with a girl named Storm, and so that was her real name. So like it was like,
Was she an
and I was
X-Men?
like, huh?
Was she an X-Men?
I would have hoped so. I
Okay.
mean, yeah. So they do roll call first day of school, and they're like Storm, and I was like, it was just really awkward. Like I never heard that name before. I mean, and this is prior to me even knowing about the X-Men. I was like, this is cool, and I immediately went up to her. I go, is Storm your real name? She goes, yeah. And I go, how did you get that? She goes, my parents were hippies, and I was conceived under a storm.
That sounds like some hippie shit right there.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. I go, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I like your name, and I'm taking it. And that's how I became DJ Storm.
So you did like that trick where you grab her nose, and then you put your thumb in there, and you're like, I got your nose.
I got your name.
I got
now.
your name.
Yeah. That was it. That was there wasn't really too much thought about that. It was just the fact that I just liked your name and I took it.
So what were you doing at the time? Were you just DJing, or were you making music back then? Or, well, I guess, what year was this?
Goodness. This is, God, who remembers? Well, I want to say it was maybe in elementary or middle school. I mean, you got to think, I've been DJing since 1987.
Okay.
So I started at 12 and a half, 13 years DJing. So it's, I'm 46 now, and that's like 2020. I'm really bad at math.
Yeah, I'm not the math guy either.
But I was definitely a long time ago.
Right.
And I don't remember the exact year, but it was close to the time that I was DJing. Yeah, so I was probably like in middle school, or I think I was in middle school.
So how did you get started DJing?
All right, well, this is fun. So I come from a very festive family. Like music has always been a huge part of our lives, like massive. So any holiday get together, any birthday, any gathering, I mean, music was a necessity. It was like you literally had to have food and music. That was like the two musts. And we were always basically bringing records to, let's say my cousin had a birthday party in the basement. We would bring records, and we would buy records, whether it was the new AC/DC record, or was the new Blondie record, or was a new, I mean, what's the guy's name? The Young Hearts. Okay, what's I'm trying to think.
David Bowie? I don't know.
No, that David Bowie, like I'm trying to make it. It was the first record I ever bought. It was I was 4 years old. It was '78, and my godmother, yeah, my godmother, it was Rod Stewart. And my godmother, she said, "What do you want?" And so she gave me money. She took me to a record store, and my first record that I bought was Rod Stewart. And so, mind you, records and playing records and collecting records and sharing music was just it's in our DNA. It's who we are. You know, we always like to have music playing. It was always part of our life. And so between my brother and myself, we had a pretty decent record collection. Like between my brother was going out to clubs and listening to stuff, and I was going to teen clubs and I was listening to DJs play, or there I heard something on the radio. I would literally go to the store and buy records. So mind you, I had a pretty decent collection. My a friend of mine, a friend of my brother's, you know, my parents used to own a restaurant, so I was bussing tables, so I was making decent money as a young kid, and my brother's friend asked me if he could borrow $60. So I said, okay, no problem. He was a friend. He was a friend of the family. I knew the guy. I knew he needed it, so I gave him $60. He goes, look, in collateral, so you know I'm not going to walk away with your $60. I'm going to give you these turntables and a mixer that I have. And I'm like, okay, cool. So he gave me these two realistic belt-driven turntables. He gave me like a little realistic mixer, and I literally was just playing. So I brought it home. I was excited. I started going through records that I've been collecting throughout the years, and I just started DJing in my bedroom, and that's how I started to DJ.
That's your origin story.
That is my origin story.
All
Yeah,
right,
I'm sticking to it.
The
Damn it.
DJ Storm origin story. So the stuff that you were playing was like what? Just whatever, like funk or disco stuff like that, or what?
Like I said, I've always been a firm believer. Like I grew up listening to such a variation of music, whether it was rock, disco, funk, electro, freestyle, house, acid house, bass, rap, hip hop. I mean, I remember my brother bought the 45 of Rapper's Delight. I mean,
Mm.
you know what I mean? So we always had records. And I was just basically just trying to, and back then, you're trying to fit like all these different genres and play them together. And that's the way DJing was back then. DJs weren't like, they weren't playing just one genre of music. They were playing a little bit of Miami bass. They were playing a little bit of freestyle. They were playing a little bit of house. They were playing a little bit of hip hop. So a DJ was basically the original DJ was an open format DJ. So that was the thing that I did. Because there wasn't a lot of one genre coming out. Yeah, there was like music, but it wasn't being released like every day, every second. I mean, mind you, the process of pressing a record and manufacturing a record and actually having the record go to the shelves to buy it took a good 3 to 6 months.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
So
yeah.
you had the producer, you know, he would be in the studio with all this analog outboard gear. You know, he would sit there and just program beats and make the stuff. And then, you know, he'd make a track that he actually had to take to a record label. The record label would be like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. Yeah, I see if we can put this out. So the record label was like, well, I don't know how many we're going to sell of these. So they would run a small amount of test pressings. Now,
Okay.
why they call them test pressings is these pressings were actually going to test the market and test the waters to see how many copies they would actually manufacture. So they made a profit. So the artist takes it, the label actually has to go ahead and press a master lacquer, has to create a master plate, has to take it to the record plant. They have to get on a schedule of when the records are going to get pressed. They would press the record. They would give it to all the key DJs, all the key radio stations. The radio stations, the DJs would be like, oh, I like this. If they didn't like it, they wouldn't play it.
Right.
Unless you paid them.
Right. I heard that was the thing. Is like you got to get the popular DJs to play the record so that people get exposed to the song.
Right. So then the
Yeah.
pop, so then there was a feedback sheet with all these test pressings, and then the feedback, you'd be like, okay, well, yeah, this record is awesome. It's really working in the club. The label will get that. I'd be like, okay, so we're getting positive feedback. So let's go ahead and manufacture and press 3, 4, 500 copies of it. Then the label would press the record. Then the distributors would get it. Then the distributors would have to then sell it to the stores. So by the time it went from that guy's studio with the analog outboard gear to the store, you're looking at a good 3 to
Right.
6 months.
Yeah, takes some time.
So, you know what I mean? So to play one specific genre of music was really impossible because you were waiting for that
Right.
next release that was in that genre.
Yeah.
So you kind of were, I guess, yeah, you kind of were limited to just playing everything in order to have a 2, 3, 4 hour set.
Right. Not gonna lie, when you were telling that story, I was like, "Where did this come from?" Because I don't remember asking you about that, but it makes perfect sense, dude. No, that makes perfect sense. So that's a good segue. So how did you get into breaks?
Like I said, we've been collecting music pretty much all our lives, and breaks is a rhythm that's always been there. Um, Rock and roll songs had breaks. Disco songs had breaks. Funk souls had breaks. I mean, you got to think, the original, you got to think the original DJs that were the founders of hip hop were taking two records and backspinning them and taking the break and going back and forth. So everything, whether it was hip hop, funk, freestyle, rock, all these styles of music were into breaks, and I liked it. I don't know. It was just, to me, it was just a little less repetitive than the whole,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was just, and plus there was so much space within the break where it was like kick, snare, kick, snare. So there was so much space so you could put like these cool acid lines and keyboard lines and vocals, and it was just a cool rhythm. So it was just, for me, naturally, like I was playing breaks before I was playing breaks, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like
It's
I was
always been
playing
there.
breaks before breaks were even categorized, I guess.
Right.
It was just I was collecting records that just had a broken beat. The rhythm has been around for ages. It's been
Yeah.
around for a long time.
Yeah.
So whether you're playing hip hop or you're playing freestyle, you're playing funk, you're playing whatever genre, rock, like, I know we talked about this a while ago, but AC/DC, You Shook Me All Night Long is a break.
Right.
The beat's a break.
Yeah, for
So
sure. Yep.
yeah,
I can
so
play
you
that song
had-
straight up. I can play it straight up as it's written in like a set. I don't even
Yeah.
have to have a remix of it.
So yeah, it was just, breaks. So for me, like when people actually took off and actually people started producing that style, it was just naturally, it was just a natural thing for me to
Progression.
do.
Yeah. I just want to say what's up to some people in the chat. We got some new rivals. What's up, Glenn? What's up, Jimmy? What's up, Scott? Scott Weiser, Morgan,
Nice.
Bobby, and so whoever else is in there. Bunch of people. I can't see everybody.
Familia.
I can't see everybody. So yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely thank you guys for tuning into this. Love to have some of you guys on here as well. So okay, so let's transition to, I guess, when you started producing music.
Okay, we're going to
So-
talk about tranny midget.
Right, with small hands. Don't forget the small hand
Okay.
things. You gotta have small
Granny,
hands.
tranny, midget, amputee porn. Got you.
So,
Okay.
is breaks the only style that you've ever produced?
Primarily, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've done some house stuff. I produced some other like tracks under. I've ghostwritten tracks and ghost produced track and done stuff under certain aliases, but the name and the brand Storm is definitely associated with breaks.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I happen to have a stack of Storm breaks right here. Let me get it.
All right.
All right.
Nice.
Okay. Cool. I pulled these out. Joe,
I might
shout
want
out to
those.
Joe. Some of these are his.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to start with what I think. Okay. So okay. This is Oz and Storm the Sky EP.
Right. That was on Vinyl Junkie Records. Yes. Yep.
Back is definitely psychedelic for sure.
Yeah, that was Randy. He used to own Club Impact up in Cocoa Beach, and yeah, he was definitely a very unique guy. And we used to go up there quite a bit, and we would DJ up there. And and he said he had a label. I know he signed some tracks by D Love, Dan Ramaswamy, who's one of my closest friends. And we made this track. We got into production. I mean, and he picked it up, and yeah, it sold. It did well, actually.
Let's see if this is a good or a good plus. Actually, it doesn't really have that many scratches on it. Okay.
I have a few sealed copies of those as well.
So this is 1997. Is
Yeah,
that your,
1997. We were producing a while ago. I mean, we were producing some freestyle and some bass records, but we were working with different artists. And Oscar and I really started making music back in '93, and that was one of the releases that actually got picked up and got distributed and stuff.
was that the earliest one? I mean, I guess I didn't look at your discogs to see, but I think 1997 is the earliest one that I have here.
I'm actually trying to remember. Be quite honest with you, I don't know. I think that might have been my first press release. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got that. All right. So I don't know. Oh, I think one of these is 99. Okay, so I got Oz and Storm Street Knowledge and Oz and Storm Johnny Dangerously. This is which one of those was first?
Definitely, this is the situation. And
Okay.
do you like the bass?
Yep. Do you like the
That
bass?
was the
It's
first release.
filtered.
Yeah, that was the first
I can't really see
release
that.
on our record label. Johnny and I started that label. We basically just wanted to have the ability to put out our own music whenever we wanted to.
It says 001. It says FM
Yeah,
001.
that was the first release, and that did extremely well. It got charted by IC on I think it was Herb magazine, or and I know it got picked up by Huda Hootie on one of his mix CDs. I know it got picked up by Robbie on one of his mix CDs. So that release did really, really well for us. And actually, we're in the studio. We have all the original stems for that, and we're going to be releasing remixes of that probably later on this year.
Nice. Yeah, I heard this song a lot. Like when I was this is the situation. Do you like the bass? Maybe I heard it on a mixie or something like that, but this is the situation for sure. Like I knew exactly what this was when I first saw the record.
Nice.
So okay, let's talk about freaking music for a minute. I mean, I got a ton of other songs we can cover here, but what's up with freaking music? So that's one of my questions was if that was you guys' label.
Yeah, that was the label that my brother and I started. And yeah, we did really well. We had some pretty good releases. It was like I said, it was very lucrative. It was good. We put out CDs. We put Perfect Timing 1, Perfect Timing 2. Vinyl sales were really good. And then after a while, we basically saw that vinyl wasn't going to be financially lucrative at the time.
Right.
So we decided to go ahead and give the label to our friend Duncan, and we did release. We did release some stuff on. He did release some stuff on that label. So that he kind of took the torch and kind of did that, and we kind of just let that label go, and then eventually we just started transitioning into the digital side of things
Right.
and production for digital media.
What how long was the label active?
Goodness. I would say about 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it had a good run for sure.
Yeah. No, I have I guess I should have pulled the other records I have that are on the label, but yeah. So let's talk about one thing I want to ask is like the inspiration for the tracks. So I particularly this is the situation just because I've heard it on a lot of different things. Like how did that track come about? Like what were you guys making it on?
I think we just had different samples. We had different records. We had different. We obviously loved Opus 3, Fine Day, and Halcyon by Orbital, and the vocal. We were like, oh, we're good. We just love the vocal, so we took part of that vocal, and at that time we were using an EMU 4XT sampler, which was like an analog sampler. We were using an analog board. We were using analog keyboards. I can't honestly remember the analog keyboards we were using, and we just started. We just started making. I think we were just producing in Cubase at the time.
Okay.
Was a DOS that we were using, and we just started sampling stuff and putting it together. And this is before there was mixed in key, or it would tell you if it was harmonically acceptable. Like all those samples are from all different records, and it was all played based on ear.
Right.
So we kind of played the elements and the acid lines and everything according to whatever sounded right.
Okay.
But the inspiration just basically came from different records that we loved. Different remixes of stuff, and we would always try to find things that weren't commonly used. And to this day, my brother and I do that with Brothers of Funk. We basically we find some stuff that we don't think, because of our huge vinyl collection, we always find things that aren't really that common, and we try to make them work.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. Those samples are definitely not something that I would think that I would pull out to put into a track, but it works. Definitely
Yeah.
works. So the next one I got is Street Knowledge.
Yes.
You can see this kind of. So is that Bruce Lee on the
That is Bruce Lee.
It is
yep.
Bruce Lee. Okay, this one actually I have the sleeve. Well, the other one doesn't have the sleeve.
Nice.
So this is
Yeah, my brother designed the label and the artwork for that.
This is FM 008.
Yeah, that was another good release for us as well that did really well. And at that time, what was going on is because there was electro, which I have absolutely been in love with forever. You know what I mean? Whether it was the early stages of it, from Kraftwerk to Miami Bass, and to what it was evolving when that record came out. You had artists like Anthony Rother, and you had all these contemporary, or at that time, contemporary electro artists. So we loved that sound. But at the same time, I was also really falling in love and have been in love with new school breaks. You know what I mean? Which is one of the sounds that we kind of helped bring to the U.S. as well. And I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do a record that kind of merged the electro sound and the new school break sound. So on that record, there's the only sample that we use is Here on the Streets, Mercies for the Weak. But everything else was all original.
Okay.
It was all our own sound design. It was our own kick drums, our snares. It was just an original production from point A to point B.
Nice. Not gonna lie, I don't know what this song sounds like. I don't remember. I don't think I really played it that much.
Yeah.
But all right. So now I'm thinking if I'm. Oh, let me. I really believe.
That was on our sub label, and that was actually licensed to a Rick West CD.
Right.
God bless his soul. You know, I got to take this moment and give my love and respect to Rick.
Rest in peace for sure.
Yeah, I love him. I miss
I only
him.
got to meet him one time, man. But
A beautiful person, just a really beautiful person.
yeah, he was super cool.
Yeah, and yeah, that track we made. We did it. We wanted to do something a little bit more progressive with some female vocals, nothing really edgy, and we decided to do that as a sub label, and we produced that track.
I like this track, man. I've actually played this on the stream a couple times.
Nice.
I definitely enjoy the vocal on there. Does it have a year on here? Yeah, it says subdivision of freaking music.
Yep.
Freak21 at gate.net. Was that Netscape? No, I don't remember what that was. I was thinking maybe that was the old Netscape browser email back in the AOL days, like we were talking about.
when we were raw dogging the internet,
raw dog giving our computers AIDS,
giving our computers every STD out there. It was awesome.
Downloading fucking shit just laced with viruses, but you knew it anyways, but you still downloaded that shit for some reason.
and you were chatting to some random people. It was like the beginning of catfishing.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all remember having girlfriends in AOL chat rooms. Like, that was a real thing for me and on AIM and shit. Like, I'd be so excited to come home and start talking to these bitches on AOL.
You know, so funny. People still have AOL email addresses.
Yeah, I've seen it. They do. They just shut down AIM a couple of years ago. AIM was going hard till just recently, dude. It hasn't been that long.
I used to be able to transfer music through AIM.
Yeah.
The chat, it was awesome.
Oh man, you just made me think of something. On the drum and bass documentary, they talk about that. The drum and bass, the movement. They talk about how AIM did exactly what you said. How it changed. How fast people could get music.
Yeah,
because you could do the file transfers. I never did that, but yeah. So they were talking about how that opened up drum and bass to the world, and it opened the world up to drum and bass. How they were able to get drum and bass from places that they weren't able to get it from before, and they didn't even know it existed somewhere else.
Yeah.
They were getting it from people. That's an interesting point. I totally forgot about that. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about, which is 9 p.m. Till I Break, which I had no idea that this was you until we talked on the phone the other.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that dude. This is the shit. This track is like one of those tracks, like ones where you're fuck, man.
And till this day, that is my number one most sold record of all time.
It has nothing on it besides side A and side B and the title of the track.
And here's a funny story. ATB 9 p.m. Till I Come. We got the record. It was great. I'm like, oh, I love this melody. I'm like, we got to do a breaks track. And back then, there wasn't really too many people doing like electro breaks versions of trance songs. But we're like, look, we have to do it. Nobody's doing it. We're gonna do it. And we took the Kraftwerk numbers loop, and we took a nice 808 kick, and we made it.
Dude, it rides out. The song rides out. Still to this day, dude. Still rides out. I think this one has a scratch on it. So I tried to fix it, but
I got I think I might have like 20 or 30 left.
I got to get one from you.
Yeah, so we ended up we did it, and it absolutely became viral.
Yeah.
It got to the point where we were selling 2,000 to 3,000 copies a week.
Dang.
I think in total we must have sold about 33 to 34,000 copies of that record.
Wow, that's fucking amazing, dude. This one is tore up, dude. I would say this is like an F minus. A fair minus. Yeah, I try. There's like somewhere in it, dude. It's like right when it starts to ride out, there's a skip, and
here's a funny story about that record. So during the Winter Music Conference, ATB approached Brian Mass Inc. and he's like, and I guess he had heard it in Germany or wherever he was from, and he was on a hunt to find the producer that remixed his song. And he said, Brian, who's this guy? Because I guess Brian was doing a lot of sound rentals and a lot of sound for a lot of parties at the time. So I guess he had asked Brian, can I find this guy? And Brian, I guess he didn't want my identity to be known because he didn't want me to get in trouble.
Oh, okay.
And then ATB's like, no, 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 no. I don't want to sue. I just want the copy for myself. I like the remix.
Nice. That's
So
awesome.
he won, but I never even met the guy.
Did this have like this is just in a black sleeve? Did this have any artwork on the sleeve, or it was just
No, it was just
okay.
a record with a paper sleeve. That was it.
One of my favorites, dude, and then Running's good too.
Running was just like a House Without a Home. I think it was just like a unreleased or very limited press of an Information Society Running remix. So we just put that on the flip side because we wanted to make it a little bit more accessible,
right,
to people, so they could, because we would play it at parties and people would always come up to us going, "What remix of Running is that? What
Yeah.
remix of Running is that?" And plus, I mean, it was so much wear and tear on my original copy. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna repress this so I can keep on playing this record,
Right.
so I wouldn't wear and tear the original vinyl. But I do have the original vinyl as well.
Okay. I'm gonna have to get a copy. Oh fuck. So this is another one that I did not know that this was you until like 3 days ago. So this is the Brettaskimis. How do you say it? I don't know how you say it.
Brettaskimis, yeah.
Okay, Brettaskimis.
Yeah.
Oh, Brettaskimis. Got it. Okay, I didn't get that till just now.
Yeah.
Brettaskimis. Okay, so hello. So I actually just
Wow.
got this record a couple of months ago from somebody who I bought some records in Melbourne, but I heard this song on a CD that a DJ I know had put out a long ass time ago, and I always loved it. And as soon as I saw this and the pack of records I was looking at, I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm getting this shit." And it has like it looks like the Burger King
Right
on the back.
Yeah.
Is that what it's supposed to be? Like
Yeah,
the Burger King thing?
My brother also designed that label as well.
That's what I kind of
Yeah.
thought. Dude, good
Yeah.
song. Great song. It's still good to this day. I just played it the other night.
That record has so many memories and so much emotion, and like that's like a rabbit hole of emotions, and I'll try to sum up the story. First of all, Brettaskimis is BFX and myself, and BFX, his real name is Brett, and my nickname is Kimmy. So we're like, hey, we're just gonna call it Brettaskimis, having that little like making fun of the British accent. We're like Brettaskimis, that type of vibe. And how that song came to be is I went to the legendary Firestone club, and at that time, I think Dub Tribe was playing, Sasha was playing that night, and it was probably one of the most magical nights that I've had in my life. And Robbie Clark, who was the resident DJ at that venue, played the original version, which was Hello Hello by an artist called State of Grace, which came out on RCA Records. And I don't know if you've ever been to a club and you're having that magical experience and that song comes on.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like spirit fingers are
Yeah.
up.
It is the
Like,
first time
just-
you've heard it?
The first time I heard it.
Dude. Yeah.
And
Yes.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
Like, I was like, this is like, the vocal was just so haunting and just,
Right.
I was like, so I came back and I actually had that record sitting in my record store, and I never even knew it was there.
Oh,
So I bought the record, and I'm like, look, man, I go to Brett. Brett, we gotta remix
like
this.
we're leaving work right now.
Yeah, like we remix it, and we literally, once again, the only thing on that record that's sampled is the vocal. So the piano was played, the all the instrumentation was all done originally, and mind you, that piano part I played without even knowing what key the song was in. It was all done by ear.
Nice.
So all the music in that song is played based on the vocal that we sampled.
And I just have to note that the release is GHB 001.
Of
In
course.
case anybody was asking. Anybody
Yes.
wanted to know. But yeah, definitely a good jam, dude. I was very fortunate to find this because it's one of those songs that I heard and I always liked, but I forgot about it. And
We
then,
were like, yeah, we were doing stuff in code.
yeah. Yeah. It's
We were Freemason it, you know.
it's good. So anybody if you can pick this up, it's definitely a good track. All right, working our way through the aliases. Let's see what I got. Okay, so I guess this was we can get into the Brothers of Funk thing. So this is let's see if I can get this right. Cut It Up, Funk Wax.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tracks, the fucking Johnny Cage remix is sick.
Yeah, really cool.
It's good. So this one, so I have the
Good old Louisiana, Johnny
yeah,
Cage.
Yeah. I have the white label, or not white label, but I have the white sleeve. But this is remixed by Brothers of Funk. Is that it? I thought there was another remix on. Or it's the original with remix of Brothers of Funk.
I would definitely have to say
original.
Johnny Cage is the OG Nola Breaks guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I've been
and not only that, but he's one of like, I don't know if you know this about Johnny, but he's one of the sickest turntablists.
I don't,
like-
but I've heard his tracks where he's scratching.
He is sick.
Yeah,
That boy
yeah.
is nasty.
Scratch money, dude.
Nasty.
Scratch money. If anybody knows Johnny Cage, man, tell him to come on the show. I hit him up, but he never got back to me. If anybody knows him, dude, say what's up to him. I'd love to have him on because he's one of my favorite, like, I don't want to call him an underdog, but like he has a lot of like cool tracks that like you might not know about. And
He's also a very sick DJ.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorites that I like listening to. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I today, it's funny you say that. So there was some guy, DJ Digital did Johnny Cage tribute mix that's on Mixcloud right now.
Oh, nice.
Dude, it's got Get Ready to Roll. It's got the other one where he is rapping. I forget what that one's called. And I haven't got to cut it up if it's on there yet. It's all Johnny Cage. It's fucking great. Only about 20, 30 minutes.
Nice.
So, but anyway, so this is Brothers of Funk. So let's talk about the Brothers of Funk, man. Up with that. Let's do it.
So my brother and I, you know, we just came up with a name. Originally, you know, myself being a big boy, my brother being a big boy, or used to be a big boy, and our brother from another mother, Robbie, we were considered the 3 tons of funk. So
Yes, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so we decided to come up with this moniker, the Brothers of Funk, and my brother and I just started producing stuff together because Oscar at the time was getting really busy. He was doing a lot of studio work, so we couldn't really work with him too much because he was producing and engineering a lot of different artists. So his studio really took off. So my brother and I said, you know, we gotta start doing this on our own, and we did, and we started the whole Brothers of Funk. And we even had the name Dub Species we were doing, if that's another alias that you may not know about. And actually, Scott Weiser, Chad, did a remix of, from, you know, Jekyll and Hyde remix of The Dose, which was our release on Native Records, which was a label that was owned. It only had one release by Josh Botbull, and he was our manager at that time for booking our gigs. So, but Brothers of Funk, yeah, that's how it came about. My brother and I just decided to started making some music under a different entity, and that name still it still carries weight to this day. We have upcoming releases. We have tracks on Beatport. I was gone away for 9 years. Not in jail or nothing, but I was living in a different part of the country, and I was DJing, and I recently just moved back, and my brother and I decided to go ahead and pick up where we left off, and we started the Brothers of Funk thing. And you could get our releases on Bandcamp, on Beatport. We have a new track getting ready to be released on the 20th of June with legendary MC, DJ, and producer Jock D. So
That's
it's called
badass.
Grandmasters of Bassology, which is probably one of the funnest and tracks that I've made in a really long time because it really brought me back to my Miami bass roots.
Yeah, that's badass, man. I so yeah, you're putting out stuff on that right now, right? That's what you were just saying. Your new track is under Brothers of Funk.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, you can find us on Beatport.
Yeah.
There is a preview of our new track on there. So you can definitely check it out and listen to it.
Right. Awesome stuff. All right. So these last two, my personal favorites. So we will talk about Miami Electro. So I gotta tell you a story behind how I found out about this song. So I'm not electro. It's okay to me. Like I'm not huge into electro. Some of the songs I like though.
Shame on you.
I know, dude. I know. I don't know what it is, but this song is not just like the kind of electro that I was hearing at the time I was around electro. There was a little bit more to this that was appealing to me. I heard somebody playing it at a party and I was like, holy shit, that song is badass. And I went and ordered it from Tommy Who, and I don't even anyway, I don't know. But anyway, man, like this is I mean, besides that 9 p.m. till I break, dude, this is probably my favorite track that you.
Nice.
It's straight fire, straight fire.
Well, that track was produced by myself and Carlos Galaviz, who's literally my best friend. And if anybody knows anything about Carlos Crea, he is literally probably the most musically talented person I know other than Scott Weiser.
Wow.
This guy plays about 12 different instruments, sings, knows pretty much every DOS out there. He's very inept when it comes to learning new software and all that stuff. And him and I met, and it was so funny because like before he even met me, he was producing, and he just thought I was a dick, I guess, by the way I looked or whatever. But we started working together, and we became we're literally brothers right now. And so we made the track, and we're like, you know what? We want to make an electro track, but we want to make an electro track with musicality, with lines and music in it, and something that's just not so kick drum, kick drum, kick drum, kick drum.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So we composed a song, and he did the vocal, and people, I'm blown away by how much of a great response I had because of the track, and people till this day, like whether it's Nate or Mark V, or like you have all these DJs playing, and that's a record that I literally hear in almost every DJ set.
Dude, it's timeless. It still sounds awesome. Like I play it on mine. Well, actually, this one I has a scratch on it. I don't know how that happened, but and it's
the pressing, there was a little just in the actual pressing. You're talking about in the beginning of the track, and like has a little pop. No, that's not a scratch. That's just the way it's pressed. There was It was something that it's a manufacturer default.
Oh, I wonder if.
Yeah.
Oh,
What you have to do is on that record you got to put the weight a little bit more on the tone arm. So if you're running your weight in the back like at 3, you might want to go up.
that's what
Bring
I'm
up
on.
put a little more weight and won't skip. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you know what? Man, I wish I would have known that because you know what I'm over here trying to do, and you know what? I couldn't get it out, and that explains why. I'm taking
Yeah.
a toothpick, trying to rub out the scratch on the groove for the
No,
toothpick, right?
there's no scratch. It's just the
Right.
manufacturer. Yeah.
So yeah, now that I know that, I'm like pulling the
Yeah.
record back, trying to find out where it is. When I was just looking at that, it reminded me. So I see all these little spots where I'm trying to like rub out this non-existent
Yeah.
scratch. Ah,
And
okay.
the thing about Carlos and I, we once again, I was gone and I came back, and Carlos and I reconnected, and we decided to come up with the name Analog Hustlers.
Okay.
And once again, we have it's funny because the same day that I have the track coming out with my brother, Brothers of Funk, I have my Analog Hustler coming out on the same day, July 20th, called Hustlers Theme. And the reason we came up with the whole analog stuff is because, you know, we miss analog. Like, we love analog. We
Right.
love the warmth and the texture of just the analog sound.
Right.
So, between my brother, myself, and Carlos, we just been buying a bunch of new analog gear, which sounds phenomenal.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. I was like, I was hoping if you were gonna use the name, you're definitely making the stuff with analog equipment.
98% of it is analog.
That's awesome.
I mean, the only thing we're using is we're running Ableton just to kind of sequence, but all the sounds generated are all sound designed and they're analog sounds.
That's cool stuff. When I was talking to Bahamut, he was telling me that all the music that he's making, which is whatever, it's not really breaks, it's just kind of anything he feels like making. He's making it all. He never even switched over to making stuff on digital. He said he's been making analog music like forever. That's what he's using right now, too.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, man, diehards right there. I got some insight into that when I was watching the audio bots start making music. They were bringing their stuff over to my house, and we were recording in my living room. And dude, it is a process to do that stuff on analog. Wow.
Right. And then not only that, but every synthesizer has its own life form. It has its own entity. Like, it's just basically like a ghost in the machine that decides, you know what, I'm going to go this way. And it sounds so cool. You're like, you know what, just do your thing.
Like, sometimes it's going to just erase all the music that you have on there too, right?
Not really. I mean, we pretty much, we bounce a lot of the stuff that we like. But, yeah, no, but for the most part, I mean, it's, it's just the way you create sounds. They kind of morph and modulate and kind of just transcend into something you didn't even begin with, and it's so cool. So it's always good when you're messing with analog gear to record a log segment, because from beginning to end, it's going to sound completely different.
Right. And they gave me some insight. Chris and Brett gave me some insight onto how the whole analog layering thing works. And it's like, so you have one machine that makes one sound, that's your base layer, and then you got to like use other machines on top of that to like construct the layers of the music. So the more machines you have, the more layers of the music you can.
Right. And then they all just become this one big family.
Right.
And they all start talking to each other. Then you could like literally, and this is not a bad acid trip or anything, but you could literally see the machines breathing and just kind of all coming to life. And it's probably one of the most phenomenal experiences that I've had making music. It's awesome.
Well, the AI overlords are going to thank you for that whenever they become sentient and they start looking around to see who was hating on them before. They're gonna look at this and they'll keep you on their team.
I'm so down. Like, I want to meet him. Like, if I could get into Antarctica right now and fucking high five an alien, I would.
So I got one more for the record. Force of Habit, Feelings of Disbelief. You were talking about those songs that happen to you sometimes. This was one of those songs that happened to me
Yeah.
that one time, you know, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I play it on the stream still. I haven't played it for a little bit, but this the original. Oh no, but you know what's funny? So I don't know if this is the right sleeve, but this sticker on here, the price sticker is Dancetarium G13 Brothers of Funk / DARR.
Oh, that was the release we did for Functional Breaks.
Okay.
Which is basically was owned and operated by Biff Mitchell in the UK. So we started doing a lot of tracks for the boys over in the UK, and we were producing new school breaks. Before it was cool to like new school breaks.
Charging $10.99 for a damn record.
That was the import. Yeah, that
Oh,
was the
okay.
import.
Okay.
Yeah. Your domestic was anywhere between $4.99 to $6.99, and your import was anywhere between $10.99 to $12.99, or $9.99 to $12.99.
So, oh, this has the original and you guys on it. Okay. Yeah, no, this is oh my god. Gives me goosebumps. FM 007.
That was Chris Marchese, probably once again one of the most talented producers I've and songwriters I've ever known. He was responsible behind Yummy and a bunch of other stuff. And Chris, yeah, we heard the track, we loved it. We had to re-release it and remix it.
Brett's asking if there was another remix of Force of Habit that Jimmy spelled backwards put on his I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there are any other. I wouldn't know.
There was a few remixes. I know Johnny did one, and I know some other people did some remixes out there. Yeah, I know. I don't know if Johnny released his unreleased remixes recently. He put a bunch of them on Bandcamp. I don't know if that was one of the ones that he put on there,
Okay.
but there were a few remixes of that floating around, and I have a few of them. Different.
All right. So one thing I definitely want to touch on is the FSOB mix. Glenn, if you're still in here, man, I hope that you are. But Future Sound of Breaks, man, the Trevor Rockwell and Storm. That was I don't know how many FSOB mixes there were, but that was the first one I heard, and I was like, holy shit, this is what I'm talking about right here. Like, I remember back when the website, I don't know if you remember, had that little insect robot on it. That was like it looked like a spider, and then it had like these little vials on it and stuff, and it was like a flash animation that would crawl on the screen, and then it would play like some badass breaks track in the background while the site was loading, and it just got you so pumped just to be on the site and see what was going to be going on after that. But yeah, that mix, dude. Like, so let's talk about how that came about.
I mean, what can we say? I mean, Glenn is probably one of the most creative and marketing geniuses I know. I mean, the guy's phenomenal. His passion and love for breaks is unsurpassed. I mean, from being a club kid to promoting parties, I mean, everything is done with 100% heart, 100% passion. I mean, that guy puts 110% in all his projects. And of course, I love him, another brother of mine. And, he threw an FSOB, he had booked me, and Trevor, Trevor and I just we started playing together. And Trevor and I just, I mean, I gotta say, we just have a bond and a friendship that goes beyond words. I mean, that guy, I mean, just you have that friend that you could just basically communicate without saying any words. That's Trevor. Trevor's awesome, and we were playing together. Trevor was really big into electro. Like, he loved Exorcist, he loved ATF, he loved he loved the exact tracks. He loved the hydraulics tracks, the Alpha 66 tracks. Like he just loved, absolutely loved electro, and I loved electro as well. But I also liked new school breaks. So every time that him and I would play together, we would do this fusion of electro and new school breaks, but it just was married,
Right.
and it absolutely destroyed nightclubs.
Yeah.
Like it destroyed. I mean, like we would floor people
Yeah.
with, because a lot of people were like, how do they make this work? And Glenn, of course, being the marketing genius that he was, he's like, look, why don't you guys do a mix, and between my connections and the the momentum Future Sound of Breaks has, we licensed a bunch of these cool tracks. So we mixed them all together. Trevor, manufactured. Uh, we distributed the CD. We did a tour, a Future Sound of Breaks tour. I think it was the first one ever. Yeah, and we actually went throughout the country, taking the sound, playing festivals and
Hell yeah.
clubs and different parties
Hell yeah.
throughout the country, just promoting this sound. And we were able to take this brand and this sound and this style of fusing music and go national with it.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think I saw one of your events at Firestone. So I didn't realize that until just now, but what did Dynamix 2 ever play with you guys?
Oh, of course.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so that was
Yeah,
definitely so
yeah.
I remember the flyer was similar to the CD. Is that right?
Well, yes.
So I went to Firestone one time, and it was my first time ever going to Firestone, and it was when they had the DJ booth up at the top. Or it used to be up those stairs.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
dude.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I was there, and I was like, I had got that CD, and then you guys started doing that, and I was like, holy shit! I'm like, this is the one. I'm like, this is gonna be the one. And then Dynamix 2 was there, and I didn't know who they were at the time, and so
Yeah.
it was like, I go in there, the shit that I want to hear is playing. Trevor Rockwell's on when I go in there, and then Dynamix 2 plays live, and they come out in their yellow suits, and I'm just like, holy shit! I'm like, that. It was like one of my first big club experiences. I was
That
like,
was an
this is
amazing
where
party.
it's at. Oh, dude, it was fucking amazing, man.
Yeah, that was
so
a fun party.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And that was just I mean, that was at the legendary Firestone. I
Yeah.
mean, that club, if those walls, which are now, torn down, if they could ever talk, I mean, whoa, the stories that club would say.
Dude, I mean, I've been to so many fucking good parties there, dude. It's like unbelievable. I remember just the feeling of excitement of like going, like even before you get there, dude, you're just like nervous and stuff, like waiting outside. I'm like, dude, it's amazing, man. Like that was a good time. I'll never forget that party, dude. That was awesome.
That was one of my favorite parties. Actually, it was fun.
Yeah.
I remember Trevor was running late. I remember going up there, and it was great. He came on, and he just hopped on the decks, and we rode.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And it was packed. I mean, like shoulder to shoulder on that bitch. I remember that. It was that was. I haven't been to a club in forever. Like, fuck, dude, like years and years. Like probably going down to Ultra one year. No, maybe like Fort Lauderdale when they had Live Nation down there. Remember that?
Yeah,
that was fun.
We played at that as well.
Yeah, I used to go to those. And then that's where I saw Merlin and a couple other people. Those were a good time.
Nice.
So yeah, so let's talk about the question, man. So the question. So the question that I ask everybody I'm asking everybody who comes on the podcast is, and this is sort of my opinion about what's going on in the scene, but I do think there's some truth to it. But I'm not like an expert, but I just kind of see what's going on around me. I feel like the break scene, not so much the music itself, but the quality, or not the quality, the prevalence of the breaks community has like shrank over, you know, an influence of the breaks community has shrank over the past several years to where now it's kind of like the only people who are listening to breaks, or most people that are listening to breaks, are people who have been listening to breaks for like 20 years, you know, maybe longer. So it doesn't seem like there is a lot of new blood coming into the scene as far as new fans. There are some, and this is I guess this is more. I should preface this with this is mainly an American issue, not so much a European issue. So you know, new fans, new parties, new things like that. So the question is, you know, providing that is true, which I do think there's some truth to it, what can be done to change the direction?
Two things: vision and creative marketing. Okay, so let me explain this. Back when breaks was not a thing, back when you know, we the main club that everybody was going to was the Edge in Fort Lauderdale, and Bruce Wilcox was primarily playing a lot of house, a lot of trance, a lot of techno. He wouldn't book anybody that played breaks at the time. If you had asked him to play breaks, he just was not doing it. That just wasn't his style. You know, being a Gainesville DJ, you know, there was a huge house influence with Simons. He came down to Fort Lauderdale and he just kind of held that torch. So when I decided to play breaks, and I had to create my own market. Um, so if you are focused on playing stuff for the existing market, you know, if you plan on promoting and playing music for the people that already know it, um, you're not benefiting or promoting the music. So basically, you have to create the market. You have to create the scene, and that's what we did. When we did Serenity at the Funhouse in West Palm Beach, you know, the only club that you would go to was the Edge, and people were like, "There's no way that you could go ahead and do a night that's going to go ahead and compete the Edge. The Edge is doing 5,000-6,000 people, and the first night that we did Serenity, we had 1,800 people, and the numbers started growing. We were getting anywhere between 24 to 2,600 people every Saturday night. So we created the market. We created the scene in West Palm Beach. We basically brought Dynamics 2 back. I mean, we would book artists like Ox 88. We booked artists like DJ Who. We booked DJs like Will Webb. We were just promoting the music that we loved. If there's passion and love in the music, people are gonna notice it. People are gonna feel it. I think a lot of people have just become kind of complacent and kind of like back. And I think a lot of DJs, they're not really working towards creating the market. You got to think back in the days when I explained to you how we promoted and how we brought electronic dance music to the forefront and to the scene, and how we broke ATB 9 p.m. till I come on the radio. Sonika feels so good on the radio. Alice DJ, you're not alone on the radio. You know, Miss Jane, it's a fine day on the radio. When we broke these records, there was no commercial radio station in the country, in the U.S. market, that was playing these records. But we didn't play these records going, oh, we're going to play them because, you know, there's a need for us to play them. We created the need.
Right.
We created
Right.
the trend.
Right.
But let me tell you what happened. And this is what needs to happen now. It was a complete effort by everybody in order to make that happen.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? So now everybody involved had some sort of incentive. They had a reason to promote it. So I'm going to break it down. You had the artist, the record label, that wanted their music played because the more exposure, the more promotion it got, it would increase their sales. So financially, it would be lucrative for the label and the artist. You had the distribution company wanting to distribute the music because obviously the more units they sold, the more traffic that they would get to their distribution company. You had the labels wanting to put out the music because it was obviously something that the labels could sit there and make money off of. The radio station was going to play it because it would attract people to the radio station. Their ratings will go up, and therefore they could sell sponsorship at a higher amount. So, mind you, there was a symbiotic relationship between the label, the artist, the distributor, and the producer.
Right.
So you had everybody involved. Now, if you're one man going, you know what, I need to bring this music to the forefront, I need to go ahead and market this to everybody. It needs to come down to a collective effort. It needs to get back to the point where internet radio, streaming, DJs, producers, labels, all come together and work as a team in order to go ahead and create a trend. A trend, look, influencers, they when they create, they don't create trends, they create the idea of something being a trend. Right? When they tell you this is cool, it's just another product.
Right.
But because they hyped it up and they told you it was cool,
Right.
you're going to buy it because they influenced you in order to believe that that was cool.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely.
So for us to go ahead and, market something or going ahead and create a scene, it's not a matter of just putting it out there. It's a matter of telling people, this is the shit.
Right.
And it sucks that you just now find out about it. But you know what? We're going to be cool and let you in our circle anyway.
And if you listen to this or play this or wear this, you're going to get laid. You're going to make a lot of money. You're going to do all these things that people think they're going to do when they're jumping on a trend somehow. So
you might be banging midget South African hookers.
With small hands. Only with
small hands that make your penis look large.
Huge. So I mean, this is an important question. I keep bringing it up just because like I said before, I have a genuine concern for how breaks has just lost its influence.
I mean, you got to think that breaks they're still breaks. They're just categorized and labeled differently.
Right.
Whether it's ghetto funk, glitch hop, electro, funky, new school, bass, hip hop, everything's a broken beat. Yeah. So if people are listening to breaks and they don't even realize they're listening to breaks.
Right. We need to bring some awareness.
It's not even bringing some awareness. It's just a matter of fact of waking people up and going, hey, by the way, the music that you like, there's a lot more of it.
Right. So yeah, I mean, so there needs to be modern versions of the music that sounds modern. People putting it out there that other people are listening to who are outside of the breaks crowd, so that we can pull some new people in. So Storm and I are in the works on something. We're not going to spill the beans here, but we're definitely taking this question seriously, and
it's going to be huge.
Yeah, so we're working on some stuff to try to make this happen. But everybody, I keep posing the questions just so that we all kind of get on maybe like the same track. Maybe we could just generally get in the same direction of like, let's move this forward instead of focusing on the nostalgia. Like, let's move the sound forward so that people who are not in the scene or do not know about the music can somehow discover it. And not only that, they're going to like it because it's going to sound like music that they want to hear, rather than, like Merlin said, old music sounds old, it doesn't sound like old music.
I have something to say about that. Like, fuck the word relevant. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there, because music is an artistic expression. So if it as opposed to categorizing it how it sounds, whether it sounds old or new or relevant or trending or matter, whatever the artist and the producer feels and they want to put out there, let it be. You know, if they're being influenced by an old Miami bass record or an old electronic record from the 60s or whatever the case is, and they want to go ahead and produce something, fine. Just trying to make a sound that you're basically chasing a rainbow. If you're producing and you're trying to make a sound, trying to find trying to target an audience without the targeted audience even knowing what they like, because their trends and their taste is changing every second because there's always new content being uploaded on a stream. You just got to be passionate, make the music you love, and let people appreciate it if they appreciate it. And let people know, hey, this is what we're making. Fine. Relevance when it comes to music, I don't think it matters because I can listen to music that was made in the 20s or 30s or 40s and 50s, and I just appreciate it because of the artistic expression and the musical talent that went into the production and that recording of that music.
Right. No, I definitely get that. I guess more what I was saying is like, and I thought about this the other day because I really like this song. So Miracle Whip,
Yeah.
Dave London, right? And there's a couple other versions of it.
Yeah.
If somebody made a remix of that today, it's a good song. I fucking love it. Is it gonna appeal to generations that are younger than me? I'm not really sure about it. Not
The
too sure about it.
that vocal, because of the way of the tone of the original Coco artist. I mean, the way the song was sang, yeah, there could be an acoustic version of that song or a nice trip hop or kind of like a trappy version or kind of like low end or lo-fi hip hop version of it. And absolutely, the lyrics and the way the vocal is sang is absolutely timeless.
Right.
And I think generations would definitely, from all generations. And I've noticed that when I DJed for multi generations, I'll play an old song, and then I'll have a young kid come up to me going, "What is this song? This song is awesome.
Right.
I've never heard it before."
Yeah, I can definitely see you're right. You're definitely right. I could see it in a different style. I could definitely see it in a different style.
I mean, the original was 140 BPM trance.
It definitely in a different style for sure. I could definitely see that working. But as far as a breaks remix, new style breaks remix, not really sure how that would go. But just the idea of trying to have I totally agree with you about if people want to create, and that's definitely what they're feeling and stuff like that. So for sure, 100%.
Once again, that's another thing is we're talking about recycled production. Why would I want to, as a creative artist, as a musician, as a producer, I always want to create something new. And that's why I love working with my brother and Carlos, because when we turn on the studio, when we turn on the keyboards, when we turn on the analog gear, we just start flowing. Like we just start playing stuff and we're like, this is cool, we're gonna fit this is cool, we're gonna put that in. And we start developing from scratch. You know what I mean? So the whole development process. So why would I want to remix a song and not create one of my original ones?
Right. Recycling. You said it, man. You nailed it. The recycling. I haven't used that term for it, but yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
I mean, we're working with a new female vocalist, which is, I mean, she's phenomenal. And we're working on new tracks with new vocals. We're writing new lyrics. We're writing new hooks. We're writing new melodies. Right. Something that hasn't been done before.
Right. Like I like to use Stant Warriors as a good example. Like that album Rise. I mean,
amazing.
Like, holy shit, it was good, right?
Yeah.
Dude, phenomenal. It was unbelievable. Pretty much every track on there was a fucking banger.
Fire.
And I'm just like, dude, But it sounds new, you know. It sounds like modern music, and that's
Right.
like, you know, that's what I'm talking about. Is like it has a modern sound to it. Like, and if they can do it, like, you know, and they're flying the breaks flag hard, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, if we had more of that, I guess to say,
We do, and there's going to be, like I said, I mean, even like the analog hustler stuff. I mean, we're working like. I got to call this out, and I'm sorry because it's something that bothers me, and I have to talk about this. I mean, you literally have producers out there,
tell us how you really feel.
yeah, that are using the same sample pack, the same lead, the same kick, the same snare, the same bass line in every track they fucking make. Like they basically have like this cookie cutter platform. They have a little go-to folder and they're not even thinking outside the box. I mean, you literally have 2 tracks on the current Beatport top 10. 2 tracks with the same exact sample pack and the same exact bass line by the same exact artist. How the fuck are we gonna move forward?
Yeah, right. Okay. See, I can't say anything like that because I'm not a music producer. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. So yeah, I mean that is a challenge, you know, because
Well, I'm sorry. If you can't be a creative artist, then you know what? Sell
Yeah.
your fucking gear.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what's happened with the music is it's turned into like social media posts where you're just trying to crank out content like,
Right.
you know, as quickly as possible. And sometimes good stuff comes out of that, but a lot of times, like what you're saying, it sounds very similar. So
Well, you know, like I mean, there's different now. It's like funny because like breaks are being categorized in different genres because they don't want to be associated with the same recycled cookie cutter, like basically like mass manufactured sound. So like you got artists that are making tracks and they're like, you know what, let's call it left field.
right,
Let's
right,
call it a different genre because they don't want to be associated with that guy. You know, you got Dirty Bird, you got tracks out there that are coming out that are, you know, considered techno. It's funny. It's like the techno, which is basically a very minimal, you know, straightforward sound. You're having breaks and electro tracks being categorized as techno because they don't want to be labeled or categorized with the same bullshit that is using the same recycled
right.
sample packs.
And you know, there's another reason why they do that as well is because when you're talking about the categorization of music, that comes down to like hashtags and things like that. And like if you hashtag your stuff breaks, like nobody's gonna see it. So you're hoping that you're hashtagging a techno or electro or something like that, so that if somebody's doing a search or like an Instagram or something like that, they might stumble across it through the hashtag. And so it's another way of discovery, I guess you could say, of stumbling across a breaks track because it was intentionally categorized as like a techno track or something that people are more apt to find.
Right. And you always want something like when we were younger, we were always searching and digging and trying to find a sound that we could relate to, something that we could basically call our own, right? So you have these people, you know, left field, you know, so now you have the younger generation going, you know what, I listen to left field.
Right.
I listen to trap. I listen to glitch. I listen to dubstep because it has something new and it's not associated with their parents.
Right. Yeah.
It's not
For that.
associated with the older generation. So if you know, granted, if you're going to go ahead and create, if you're still going to do the music you love and maybe rebrand it or call it another name, you know, then that's something that's going to go ahead and maybe also attract the younger generation to it as well.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, if that was gonna happen, like it should happen on a larger scale, like throughout the community, because what that also would do is fragment the music. Some of it would be classified as this, some of it would be classified as that, but it's all actually like, I guess you could say breaks. But I mean, if left field's if that's a better marketing tool, that should be explored. You know, if that's a better way to get the music in front of people by reclassifying what the name is, like that should be a conscious decision that the community can make, so that we are. So it's like there's a reason for it. You know.
I have faith. I have faith in based on the concept that we talked about of us doing. I have faith we're going to come up with a better name.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean that's not a
Yeah,
bad idea. I hadn't even really thought of doing something like that, but really,
yeah,
if that needs to happen, it doesn't seem. I mean, it seems like a good idea on the surface.
yeah. Because we're going to have to come up with something that's going to go ahead and you know, make a difference.
Right.
For sure.
So, you know, I bring this up just everybody who's listening. I mean, I and if you heard the other one, the other podcast, I just bring it up just so that we have like it's on the top of our mind kind of thing. But like that when we're making decisions about the music, that we're kind of thinking on the larger scale rather than just the individual, like, oh, this is cool, I'm going to make this, it's nice. But if there's some things that you could do, even if it's from a marketing perspective, that would expose more people to the music, like we should try to get in some kind of mode like that, because without some type of concerted effort to get this music back out there, like it's going to be hard for new people to find it. So we kind of all need to make some kind of effort to make this happen. But we're working on something. So we're gonna start having our little powwows here every week or so and come up with some stuff, and then we are going to I guess we'll have an unveiling at some point just to try to like get people involved. So
just be prepared for a bukkake.
Start doing your workouts and stuff right now.
Yeah.
So you're looking good with no clothes on. So, all right, man. I mean, dude, we covered a lot of stuff. I'm looking at my list here to see if there's really anything else on here that we need to go over. So, if anybody has any questions, man, now's a good time to throw it in the chat. If we didn't really cover everything, but yeah, there's definitely some people that are in agreement with what we're saying in there. You know, that they are
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're seeing that. Oh yeah, Brett was like, he heard somebody who put out an album and the same siren was in a track.
Right.
So, you know,
happens.
stuff like that. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just hope that people start taking that question into consideration so that we can actually do something about it. Because I want there to be more breaks out there. Like I want us to be back at Ultra, you know, have a break stage, that kind of stuff. I mean, I know they had the breaks car or the art car at EDC in Orlando, which was awesome. So, you know, moving stuff forward. So what up? What else is up, man? You got anything you want to talk about that we didn't cover?
No, I mean, you know, I mean, we could talk about all kinds of you know, past and, you know, future experiences, but I mean, it's basically up to the audience to kind of try to ask some questions, and maybe we might have some insight and or inkling.
We got one. Are the Brothers of Funk going to be doing any live vinyl sets via Facebook or Twitch? From Homeboy Joel.
We are.
Oh yeah, what's up with the streaming? We didn't cover that. I guess I didn't write that down. Let's talk about your streaming stuff that you got planned. That you're coming up with.
Okay, perfect. Great question, and I'm completely glad you asked, because this is the opportunity to talk about my brother from another mother, Joel, DJ Tonic. We were absolutely blessed to have met this guy. And he basically resurrected my 3 turntables. So
he did mine as well. Both of mine that I play on the stream all the time. Shout out to Joel. Fucking amazing work. Like they're better than when I first got them.
I mean, they're literally better than I got them the first day I bought them. Like amazing work. And so we set it up. I ended up getting the new DJM 900 Nexus 2 mixer. And we're in the process of setting up all the logistics of our live stream. We've been obviously, when you got about 40 or 50,000 records to go through, you kind of want to, you kind of want to pick out the stuff that kind of goes together. So we've actually been in the process of digging through the crates, going through the shelves, and finding a lot of cool tracks that I don't think even a lot of people have heard, because a lot of, like we talked about earlier, a lot of the white labels and the promos that I got, um, you know, for some reason the distribution companies never really took a chance on them, and they never even made it to see the record store. So a lot of stuff we're going to be playing in the broadcast is stuff that has never even been released or
Hell
even
yeah.
made it to the general audience. I mean, stuff that we were playing in our live sets. But yeah, we are working on that. Like I said, we have all the turntables and the mixer and all the needles and all that stuff. Right now, we're just basically going through our music, categorizing our music, which you have to kind of be prepared when you're playing vinyl. It's not like you can sit there and loop a track, and just while you're looking for another track.
Right.
It's all live,
Right.
like from beginning to end. Like whatever time you're given to mix in and out is the time you're given.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? So we're sorting that out, and then we're basically just looking. We're doing research, trying to find the best stream device. We want to go ahead and set up a portal. So we're in thoughts about maybe creating our own server, doing our own website, and bringing people for the live stream. Because I really don't like the way that YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook kind of mutes certain tracks, or there's like issues because of licensing issues or whatever. So we're trying to find the legalities and the logistics around that. So it's gonna happen, but we're just we want to do all of our research and make sure when it happens right.
Right. Yep, for sure, man. There is a lot of stuff that comes with the live stream to make sure that it turns out good. And yeah, having your own website to play through. I mean, you guys definitely have the audience to make that happen. So that's a good
Right.
idea. That's a good idea.
And preparation is the key to success. So obviously, we're just preparing and we're doing a research to make sure that it comes out perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Joel said, could they port to Mixdays? Yeah, I mean, we can host live streams, so it's just like shared to the page, things like that. So yeah, there's stuff like that can be done.
So you don't really get flagged for anything that you play on mixed days?
Well, I did. What happened is, so I had I don't know if you know who Eddie Murphy is, Mr. Murphy. He was on here playing an electro set. And up until then, we were doing okay. I got a couple of flags like in prior sets, but nothing serious. And then all of a sudden, I get this red notification from Facebook that says that your access to Facebook Live has been restricted for 30 minutes. Or no, it'll be restored at like 9:45, right? And I was like, what the hell is this? Because I hadn't seen it before. And nobody that I knew of had gotten that notification yet either. Right. Well, anyway, what it does is so when you go to the Facebook Live menu, it made every button in Facebook Live white so that I could not touch it. So it shut down the stream. I couldn't get back into it. I had to wait until 9:45 to start it back up. So up until that set, we were playing everything except for Stant Warriors, because I knew Stant Warriors and Decline would get you popped because they're on major labels. So you can't really play that stuff. But pretty much everything else we were good with. But since that set, haven't played any new music on Facebook. So it's all vinyl.
I wanted to go ahead and correct myself from something that I said earlier. I totally just remembered this. When we were talking about the DJ store. So when we left the DJ store, the new store that we opened was called Danceterium, not Onbeat.
Oh yeah, see that's the one that I am familiar with, is Danceterium.
Yeah,
that was the label that was on that little record sleeve.
So I just wanted to correct that real quick. So
yeah, so there's some people talking about Twitch and stuff in here. So I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm in the streaming game, so I think I know a little bit more about it. But just so everybody's aware, basically Facebook has clamped down the copyright allowance on everything now. Before they would let a lot of stuff slide, but now it's like if you're playing some copyrighted stuff, it's going to pick it up like right away. And so I don't know if they had like a throttle on it or something like that. So now, if you're playing anything copyrighted, you get shut down very quick. And then what also happens is your page gets shut down. And so, you know, a lot of work has been put into making all this happen. So, you know, definitely don't want that to happen. So we're only playing Florida breaks, old school breaks on Facebook, but we're also streaming on Twitch and Mixcloud right now. That's where we play the new music. So,
Well, what we're also doing as well to kind of get through that, we're contacting a lot of the new labels and a lot of the new artists, and even some of the vinyl stuff that we're going to play. And we're asking the artist permission and the label's permission. And we've been fortunate. A lot of people said, "Yeah, if you guys are going to stream it, yeah, go ahead, no
yeah,
problem." So we got the green light from a lot of these people. I think a lot of people, you know, in order to prevent that from getting banned or muted, I think people just need to get permission from the labels and the artists. And most labels will be more than happy to have you expose their music.
right. Right. I mean, yeah, that's how I've always thought of the electronic music scene, or in breaks in particular, is that, dude, you're not going to hear this, you know, in like a mainstream format. So you need, you know, DJs and record stores and things like that to play this music so that you can buy it, because otherwise you're not going to hear it. So I
But
always thought that
all,
was an important sales channel.
well, here's another situation that we have to mention. Okay, so you got a lot of thirsty DJs, right? So they're basically like attention addicts or attention whores. So what they've been doing is basically live streaming and putting out music and putting out mixes and all that stuff. And I'm guilty because I like putting out mixes, you know, for people. But you know, they've been live streaming, and the people are conditioned to a lot of free music. You know, there's Cash App links that are associated with some of these sites, and I know Facebook now you could buy, I think, hearts, or you could buy something which you know gives
Tokens
money
or coins or some shit like that.
coins or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but you'd be surprised, out of the 25 or 30,000 people streaming that mix, less than 2% actually donate money to the artists or to the DJ.
Right. Yep.
So, and that's where the problem comes into play, is because you got a lot of these people going, okay, so you're exposing all these mixes and you're doing everything live, and a lot of people are just basically leeches. They're just absorbing all this free music out there. And I think that needs to come to a stop.
Right.
I think it needs to get to the point where if you want to listen to music, you got to contribute and you got to support the artists behind the music.
Right.
I mean, the fact that we're giving so much music away for free, and they're like, well, if you're not going to do it, then somebody else is going to do it.
Right.
Well, you know what? I'm opting out.
Mix,
I'm not going to be part of that.
Mixcloud has a system for that, like a legal system. So I mean, my personal thoughts about what's going to happen with streaming is Twitch is already cracking down on the copyright stuff.
Right.
It's already happened. You know, they already took away all the clips. You know, they had all those people that had to take down every clip they had because they had copyrighted music on it. That's like phase one, you know, of the clampdown. You know, it's like when we went under lockdown in Florida. They slowly rolled that out, trying to make us think it wasn't going to happen, and then boom, then we're fucking done. You know, they're like, oh, we're shutting down restaurants, we're shutting down bars. Now we're closing the whole state down. That Twitch thing it's short lived. Like right now, you can stream on Twitch, you can stream anything that you want, but that's short lived. Like there's no way that the major labels are just going to let all this uncopyrighted music just keep getting played over and over
Well,
forever.
these artists, I mean, yeah, we're not expecting to make $1 million. Like nobody that's producing music is expecting to become rich. But at the same time, if the artists and the producers and the labels were showing that some people do want to go ahead and financially support their art and their work, they wouldn't mind.
Right.
But it's a bunch of people out there that are just trying to leech free.
Right. So Mixcloud, what they have is they have Mixcloud Select. So you can, so let's say you're on Mixcloud and you're putting out your tracks and stuff. They have a way for people to pay you through Mixcloud, who are basically donating to you so that they can hear your music. And
Right.
so they have that, and then they also have it figured out to where they can live stream anything, and they have the proper license for it. So they can't record it or store it, but live streaming, they figured out the licensing problem like months ago. Like before all of this even started, they had the licenses already in place because of just how their platform operates.
Yeah, I'm about to actually take a lot of my mixes and put them exclusive, where people actually have to pay
Yeah.
that $2.99.
It's a good idea, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I would definitely support that. It's a good idea because I mean, you got to support the artist, and you're putting all that work into it. So why
And don't
not?
get me wrong, if I make money off my streams, I'm gonna go ahead and take that money and I'm gonna go ahead and PayPal the artists and the labels of the tracks that I'm using. But I can't even pay anybody if I'm not even making any money.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to change. I feel like we're in like this limbo period between what streaming was and where it's going. Like it's still, we're trying to figure it all out. So. But yeah, man. So we're definitely looking forward to when you guys get the live streaming thing rolled out. You definitely have the audience, man. You guys are gonna.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I can. I like I said. I've been mixing and there's nothing like mixing records.
I know,
Absolutely.
man. There's the labor, dude. The labor that's involved. I love it. Like it makes me happy.
I'm about to go mix records
Yeah.
after this broadcast. To be honest with you.
So, so all right, let's we can definitely wrap this up. We've been going for almost 2.5 hours. This might be the record, the stream, or if we're holding the longest time. All right, so everybody, we're gonna wrap it up. So this will be on YouTube probably next week. If you guys haven't checked out our YouTube page, do that. We got all our mixes on there, all our interviews. Check out the Facebook page. We got all our events on there. And like I said, we got Keith McKenzie August 5th. We got we got DJ Image, Jimmy spelled backwards on Friday. All vinyl set. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up. And Storm, dude, definitely appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
This was
Thank
an
you.
awesome interview. Don't click off when we're done. I want to do some follow up with you for a couple of minutes. But
Okay.
everybody, thank you guys for tuning in, man. This is definitely a special event. I'm definitely happy with how everything turned out. Hopefully the sound was good on that side. It's hard to tell for me right now, but everybody said it was doing okay. So appreciate the support, and we will see you guys on Friday. Thank you, Storm, dude. Definitely appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for listening. Love you bunches.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.